Today, we are going to review using the MA method and the area model to factor. This is going to resemble what your quiz is going to look like tomorrow and what your worksheet looks like that you're currently working on. So, if you have your yellow notes out, the first step will tell you to determine the M and the A. In order to determine the M, what do you need to do, Paige?
Use the first one and then the third.
Coefficient. So you're going to take the first coefficient and the third coefficient. Remember, coefficient means just the number, nothing to do with the variable. So what are you going to do with those two coefficients? I'm going to multiply it and get 12. Good. Melissa, can you get your head up for me, please? And then how do you determine what your A is, Vernell? It's just going to be 7. It's just your second coefficient. So that's step 1. Step 2 now says determine what the MA is going to be. So this is when you're going to use your factor pair sheet. So you're going to look on that blue sheet with the factor pairs. Your M is 12, so you're going to find your 12, and you're going to look and find all the factors that you can multiply together to get 12. With those factors, you're now going to determine which of those can you add together to get 7. 3 and 4. So 3 and 4. So these are my M and A. So I've done 1, I've done 2, step 3. What's step 3 say to do?
Write the areas in each of the boxes using the numbers from step 2.
Okay, so we're going to use the numbers from step 2 to help write in our areas. What does 3 and 4 represent?
The coefficient.
Well, let me ask that a little bit clearer. So you have this expression here, right? 3 and 4, when you add them together, equals 7. Where does this come into play in my expression up here?
Like when you put it in the box?
The 7F. The area 7F is combined between two boxes. It's combined between these two boxes. So we're going to split those in the upper right and the bottom left. Now, I always like to write my smaller number in the upper right. So this is going to be 3. And my bottom left is going to be 4. But what variable do they need to go with it? F.
I use my greatest common factor for...
Don't use your greatest common factor. That doesn't come into play yet. Now, I know that 7F is the area represented by the 3F and the 4F, but I need to write in the area for each of my remaining sections. So what's going to be the area of the first section?
3F squared.
Good. Then the area of my last section.
4.
Good. So now I know my total areas. So now I've done step 3. So step 4 tells me to find the greatest common factor of my top row. So what's my greatest common factor of my top row? So what's the greatest common factor of 3? So if I have to do my 3, yeah, so if I write out my 3's like that and I find my prime numbers, well, what number do they share? 1 and 3, but what's 1 times 3? 3. So my greatest common factor is 3. Now, what's the variable that they both have in common? F. This becomes my height. Once you know the height and the total area of a rectangle, you're able to find your width. When you write in your formula in your section, always do your height, then your width. So we're going to write our height then first. So 3F times the number, 3F times the number. So now I'm ready to find my width. So 3 times what gets me to 3? 3 times 3 would get me to 9. 1. I have 1F as my height, but I have 2 F's as the total area. So how many more F's do I need? 1. So I'm going to come up, put an F. So what's the width of that section of the rectangle? 1 F. So it's also going to be the width of the rectangle directly below it. Okay. Now where did I get what from? The 1. Because, okay, so we know the whole point of labeling our rectangles is to help us identify what goes where. We know this is the height. We didn't know the width, but we know the total area was this. So I had to think 3 times what will get me to 3? 1. I have 3f squared as my answer. Well, I only have 1f here, so I need 1 more to get f squared. So that's my width. So then I directly bring it down because it's going to be the width of the rectangle directly below it. So now I work across. 3f times what gets me to 3f? So 3 times, okay, 1. I have 1f up here, 1f down here. Do I need any more? No. So that's the width of my second rectangle. If that's the width of the rectangle right here, it's also going to be the width of the rectangle directly below it. Okay? Now I'm ready to find the height. Alyssa, so what am I going to have to do here? Can you please set up and show me that you're paying attention? If I'm boring you too much, I can send you to your case manager too. All right. So, what times 1f will get you to 4f? 4. Okay. Now, if you do 4 times 1f, you get to 4f. Ooh, wrong color. Slacking. Too busy yelling at people. Okay. So then you're going to take the same height of the next rectangle. Does 4 times 1 equal 4? So is Sleepy Alyssa right?
Yeah.
Yep. Darn it. I wanted to get her and really give it to her. I'm teasing, by the way. Now, am I done?
No.
Okay, I've heard from you. I've heard from Alyssa. I've heard from Vernell. I've heard from Paige. All right. Dylan, what's my final answer? How am I going to write my answer out?
3f parentheses, first parentheses, plus 1, 4, parentheses, 1f plus 1.
That's what you told me.
Can I be?
Would you like to try it again? Because I know you know how to do this. Erase. All right, let's try this again.
Parentheses, 3f plus 1, parentheses, parentheses, 1f plus 1.
Oh, I forgot about
If you weren't so busy sleeping over there, you'd remember that.
that.
Okay. So, if you were going to turn this in, would you get all your points for this?
No.
Why not?
Because it's not right.
What's not right about it?
Because
Explain to me what's incorrect and why it's incorrect.
Oh,
he
the
has
4.
to go
Fix
in
it.
order.
Why? Because the...
I said 1.
He has to go in order.
Yeah. All right. Nice job. Flip it over. So remember, your answer is going to be your height times your width. And next one. Okay. What's my M going to be, Kijan?
6 times 2.
How about 12?
I mean, 12.
Equals?
72, G.
All right. What's my A, Kijan?
17.
And what's my MA going to be?
8 and 9.
Good. Hi.
Sorry to bother you.
No.
I'm here to get Zach's book and final from Miss
Oh,
Freeman.
he left a set on the desk.
Okay.
That's my fault.
That's okay.
See this whole thing?
Nope, right here.
Oh, that, okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so Kijan was nice enough to do steps 1 and 2 for us. Vernell's going to be nice enough to do step 3. Okay, step 3, we're just putting in our areas. The reason why I asked you to do this one, because this is what hangs you up every time. This is what you get stuck on.
Put 9 at the bottom, 9 at the bottom.
You want me to put 9 at the bottom here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And 8 over here.
Okay.
You see?
What am I going to put here? We know that 8
8.
and 9 is going to equal 17. So that takes care of that middle term.
Yeah.
So what's going to go in the first box?
I don't know.
What's your first term?
Oh, 6.
6g squared. So that's the total area of that rectangle. And then what term am I left with for my bottom right? 12. Okay? Now, we know 8 and 9 equals 17, but what variable do they both need to get 17g?
What?
What variable do 8 and 9 need in order to equal 17G when you add them together? If I take 8, no, you're fine. If I take 8 plus 9, I just get 17, right? But I need to get 17G. Yeah, I'm going to just put a G on the back. All right, that was step 3. Step 4, greatest common factor for 6 and 8. Remember, your greatest common factor are your prime numbers. What prime numbers do they share? Alyssa, what prime numbers is 6 and 8?
6 is 2 and 3. 8 is 2, 2, and 3.
And 8 you said was 2, 2, and 2? Okay, so what factors do they share?
2.
So the greatest common factor is going to be, and then your variable?
G.
I think you said it, I just didn't hear it. Good. That is the height. Step 4 is done. Now step 5, we just fill out the rest of the model. So if I know the height, it's going to be 2G times something, 2G times something. So I'm ready to find the width of my top row. 2 times what gets me to 6? Anybody? 3. I have 1G at the top, but I have 2 at the bottom. So how many more do I need? 1. So the width is?
3G.
So I'm going to then, ooh, that's ugly. I'm going to bring that down directly below. Okay, now I can find the width of my second rectangle. 2 times what gets me to 8? 4. Do I need a G?
No.
Nope, so that's the width of the rectangle above, which will be the width of the rectangle below. So now, what's my last piece of missing information? The height of the bottom rectangles. So what times 3G will get me to 9G? 3. 3 times 4, does that equal 12? Yep. So that's going to be my height. So I'm going to make sure I label every aspect of my area model so I get all my points on my quiz. So Miss Lidikin doesn't get to get carried away with her ink pen grading. And now I'm going to write my final answer. Do you want to redeem yourself for last time?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we get?
2G parentheses
I gave it to you. I shouldn't have.
plus.
Okay, really what you said, though, was 2G parentheses. Okay. So, rewind. Whoop, put that back up.
Parentheses. 2G plus 3 parentheses. Parentheses. 3G plus 4 parentheses. Boxes.
Much better. Nice job. Your quiz will only have positives. I'm not going to make any of these negatives. We're not really going to go on to that. I feel like we ran out of time to get to that for this semester. So you will only have to use the MA method to factor using positive numbers. The negatives are lots of fun, though, but luckily we didn't get to it. So we're going to go ahead and stop for today.